Hi there. We're here to talk today about splitting colonies, dividing colonies to make up new hives to replace losses that we might have or to expand our beekeeping operation. This is the animal husbandry side of beekeeping. It's something that does intimidate new beekeepers, making up these, splitting the colonies. But once you start doing that, you're in charge of your own self-sufficiency, and you can absorb losses through the winter because you're always making up new colonies. So I'd encourage everybody to give this a try if you haven't already. And as you'll see, there's simple ways of doing it. We're going to show 3 different methods. There are many different methods of splitting bees, but we'll show 3 that we find work pretty well. If you've seen our double nuke video, you'll have seen our preferred method of making up new colonies, but we'll show you 3 other ones starting right now. Brooke's going to help me out, and the first thing we'll do is we'll go through this colony and we're going to find the queen. So this method does require finding the queen in the colony. The other 2 methods we're going to show can be used if you're having difficulty finding the colony, or you don't want to take the time to find the colony, or you find that process intimidating. So we'll take these honey supers off. Good strong colony, lots of honey in both of these boxes. So we'll go down into the brood chamber. I like to have a sit down to find this queen, and we'll just work through frame by frame and find her queen and cage her so that we can then make up a split. What my preference is to leave the queen in the original colony and introduce a new queen to the split. The split won't be as strong as the parent colony, and so it's more likely to accept a new queen than a big strong colony. Nice big solid brood pattern there, and we're just searching through to find our queen. Oh, there she is right there. So I can just set that frame down and get to her quickly. I'll lay the frame down flat so I can pick her up. So now we're ready to make up our split. So Brooke's going to bring over a box here and just set it down nice and close so we're able to work on that together. And if you'll see, the bottom board is screwed into place here. So this is all one unit, makes it a little easier to move around. So it's a 4-inch screw going up into there if we're using a screen bottom board, a 3-inch screw if we're just using the regular bottom board. So 1 screw here, 1 screw there, and that holds everything together. We've got this full of frames, but we're going to take some of them out. So we'll take 2 out there. Brooke, you can take the other 2 out of the middle. And we'll take a couple of these foundation frames out as well. So now what we want to do is put 2 to 3 frames of capped brood into this new split. That capped brood will hatch out quickly, and the population will grow rapidly here. This is a pretty warm day. It's about 28 degrees, so there's not a lot of bees in the brood chamber, and we're going to need to add a lot of extra bees to keep that brood warm when it gets cooler tonight. We're going to make up this split and leave it in the same yard, so we'll lose bees back to the original location. So we need to add lots of extra bees for those 2 reasons. So we'll take a nice frame of capped brood. I'll pass that to Brooke, she can put it in. Another nice frame of capped brood. And we're going to give them 3 frames of capped brood. We've left lots of extra space here so that we can shake bees into that extra space as well. So we're going to shake a minimum of 3 more brood frames in. So we're adding young bees. The young bees are adhering to the brood frames, and they're more likely to stay with this split. So we'll shake those in. We just give it a real sharp shake. You hold it very firmly and give a sharp shake. Lots of nectar coming off with that shake. So those bees stay down nicely there for us. So 1, 2, 3, and we're actually going to give it 4 shakes here. This colony will recover pretty well. There's bees up in the honey supers. There's lots of bees out foraging, so they'll rebound very quickly, and it won't hurt for us to take some of these bees out. Okay, so now we can put all these frames back into place. We're going to keep the brood together, all in the middle here, and then we're going to put extra frames back in. You want to grab a couple honey frames there, Brooke? So put a foundation frame in there, and basically put in what we have for frames. These bees will do well with that. This one's got quite a bit of honey in it. They'll move that honey up into the honey supers. We've got a partly drawn comb here. We'll put that in. So now we're back to 10 frames there, and we can release the queen in the parent colony and put it back together. Going back to the split, we now have our 3 brood frames. We're going to put those in the middle, and we're going to put drawn comb on either side of those if it's available. So we've got drawn comb here, and then we'll finish up with the last foundation frame there. We'll put an inner cover on there. You want to give that a bit of smoke, Brooke? And we'll put that inner cover on there. Now, what I like to do when I'm making up a split is move it to a new location so that the bees reorient better to their new hive. But not everybody has different locations to put their bees. So in that case, what we would do is reduce this entrance and set it somewhere in our bee yard. We're just going to set it off over here, and that would be the new location for our beehive. So once we made the split up, the next thing is this is a queenless split. So we either need to introduce a mated queen, which I have here, or a queen cell. So in either case, we open up the colony. Some people choose to leave the colony queenless for a day before they do this. Other beekeepers introduce the queen right away. It doesn't make a great deal of difference. So we go to the brood frames that we had put in the middle, and we orient the cage facing with the screen facing down, and just put that in between those frames like so. Squeeze them back together a little bit, and we close that colony up. I like to leave, anytime we introduce a queen, I like to leave them for a week before we come back and check on them, to make sure that she's had the opportunity to get laying eggs, build up her pheromone production, and she won't be rejected at that point. If you check too soon, the bees can actually kill the queen. So we leave that for about a week, and there we go. That's making up a split with the first method. So the first method of making up splits you can do all at one time. Just go to the bee yard and make up your split after you find the queen. The next 2 methods we're going to show you, you don't need to find the queens, but you do need to do it in 2 time intervals. So the first method, what we're going to do is we're going to take a split out of this box, but leave the bees down in the box. So we don't have to find the queen, because if we leave all the bees from the brood chamber down there, she can't be with the brood frames that we move up. You'll see what I mean in a second here. So take the honey supers off. Brooke's going to help me out with that. Alright, so now we're down to the brood chamber. We're not even going to look for the queen. We are going to make sure they're queen right, that they've got eggs and larvae and pupa and all the normal stuff in there. But we're going to I can look down there now. I can see capped worker pupa, so I know everything's in a normal situation. Brooke's going to set another box down beside here on the bottom board. Sorry, I'll get that bottom board for you, Brooke. We'll just set it there to keep it up off the grass. There we go. So what we'll do is we'll take 4 frames out of the middle of that. You can go ahead with that, Brooke. While she's doing that, I'm pulling out a frame here. I can't help but have a quick peek for the queen, so I'll just have a quick check there. Lots of good cap brood, so this looks like a great colony to split. So we'll take 2 frames out, and that'll give us lots of room to shake bees. So what we're going to do is just pull out a frame there. There's some unsealed brood there. That'll do. We'll put 1 of those frames in. So we'll shake those bees off. With lots of space there, we're not worried about crushing bees, and we'll put that into our new box there. 1, 2 frames of brood. Three frames of brood. We'll give them a frame of drawn comb. We might as well give them another frame of honey there. Go ahead with that, Brooke. And now we'll fill up this box with frames. Then we're going to put the queen excluder in place here. We'll set this box up above the queen excluder. And then we could put the honey supers back on top of that. I'm not going to do that right now though, but we would come back to this hive the next day. Take the honey supers off, and then this is our split. The bees that we shook off, some of them will come back up and populate this box and be taking care of the brood. But we know, because we shook all the bees off those brood frames, that we didn't put the queen up here. She's down in this location. So then we can just come along, again this is the next day, and we take that off and we set that onto a bottom board. We introduce a queen. There actually isn't a queen in that cage, but we're just showing you how you do this. So we introduce that queen, and then we put the inner cover on and the lid, and presto, we have a new beehive. So we haven't had to find the queen, and we've chosen the right amount of brood to take. The bees themselves have repopulated, so there's the right amount of bees on that brood. It'd be ideal if you took this off early in the morning when there are lots of bees surrounding that brood, so that you get that split made up at that time of the day. Moving on to the next method of making up splits. So this is the last method of splitting hives we're going to show you. As you can see, this hive has 2 brood chambers. So it started off with 1 brood chamber, we gave it a 2nd brood chamber, and now we're going to divide those 2 brood chambers, so we'll make a split by dividing the whole colony. To make it a little easier so we don't have to find the queens, what we're going to do is put a queen excluder in that position, leave the one in this position, so you'll need 2 queen excluders for this job. And let's get started with that, Brooke. We'll take the honey supers off first. So now we're going to split this box, and it'll be a little harder to pry apart, but we'll pry up, and then we'll move our hive tool in here and pry any frames down that are sticking. But yeah, it's definitely stuck on there. There we go. So Excellent, great, thanks Brooke. And then we'll set that box down into place. We'll put the original queen excluder back on, which is right here, obviously, still on. And then we can set our honey supers back on. We're going to leave this colony for a week now. So this method requires a considerable period of time to plan and execute. What we're going to do is we're going to come back in a week and we're going to divide these two boxes. So let's just pretend that this is a week has elapsed and we're coming back to check on the colony. Nice day, huh, Brooke? Here we go. We'll take that apart all over again. Let's do this two at a time this time. What I want to see now is where the queen is. Because we've left it for a week, there will only be eggs in the brood chamber where the queen is present. And that's the colony, or the box, that we're going to leave in position in the original location. So just loosen up a few frames there. Pretty much just honey here. I'm going to go over it more into the middle where we can see where the brood is. I'll look at that frame there. Okay, no eggs there, but there is brood. No eggs there as well. Lots of nice brood there. And I can see from looking down that there are two more frames of brood in there, so that's a nice healthy split to be taking. So we're just going to go ahead and take that box off. We'll set that bottom board down right there. Actually, I think we'll put it right here. And we can get that frame back into place. If you want to grab the back of that box, Brooke, it's pretty heavy. And we'll set it down there. Then we'll take our queen out and pop her in between where the brood frames are. And grab our inner cover and lid. Alright, so we have a split there, ready to go. And we can just close back the original colony. We know the queen is in here because there were no eggs present in here. If we wanted to be sure, we would just double check to make sure there are eggs in there. But I'm quite confident that's what the situation is. This hive is actually pretty strong and it's going to need to be supered very soon. We'll leave it for a week for that queen to get accepted and start laying eggs. We'll check to see if there are eggs present. We don't have to find the queen, just look for the eggs. And then we'll give them a honey super. So there you go, that's 3 methods of splitting colonies. Each have their pros and cons, but I would encourage you to try making up splits to become more self-sufficient in your own beekeeping operation. It's a very rewarding thing to be doing, watching those new colonies grow. And good luck with your splits and with your beekeeping.